Full shoulder bridge. This is essentially the same as the mini bridge that we just did, but we're going to be taking the hips up higher, and we want to pay particular attention to where the rib cage is in relationship to the hips. So your glute muscles are going to be engaged, your hamstrings are going to be engaged, your abdominals are going to be engaged, and your ribs, all of your ribs, are going to remain on the mat. And this is a little bit odd because a lot of times in a bridge pose, you feel as though you need to lift your whole mid-body up and off the mat. We're actually paying attention to keeping the ribs more on the mat and having the lifting part coming from just beneath the rib cage up to your hips. So your hips are just rising up. The idea is that you're carving out the stomach muscles. You're carving out that belly and bringing in that waistline. The other thing that can happen with the full shoulder bridge is your knees will either want to press out, laterally rotate, or they may even want to internally rotate so that your knees become knock-kneed. We don't want to do that. You need to keep your legs engaged, your feet engaged, your knees in line with your ankles, and that way everything is engaging and acting, reacting as it should. So here we go. You're lying on your back in that neutral position, just like we were before. Your palms are facing the floor. Your ribs are relaxed. Your feet are planted. Your knees are engaged about 3 inches apart from each other. Take that inhale. Ribs go out, and as you exhale, begin to tighten your abdominals, pressing your belly button to the spine, pulling your ribs in, and pressing into your feet a little bit, and tighten those glute muscles, and press those hips up to the sky. And when you get to the point where your ribs begin to pull up off the mat, stop. Keeping everything engaged, tight. Inhale in this position with everything tight, and then as you exhale, roll back down to the mat slowly with control. So this time you're lifting your hips up higher than you did before. And the cue to stop is when your ribs begin to lift up off the mat. So here we go. It's a 4-part movement, as most of these exercises are. So you're lying on your back in the neutral position. Your ribs, everything is relaxed. You inhale deeply and then begin to tighten and raise your hips up with that pelvic tilt. Curl your tailbone in. Tighten your hips, tighten your hamstrings, pull in those abdominals and raise those hips up to the sky. And when your ribs begin to lift off the mat, stop. Inhale in this position, exhale, and roll slowly back down to the mat. That is a full shoulder bridge.